Is it going to be one or is it going to be more? I have a feeling it's going to be more, but let's find out. Oh. Hey guys, and welcome. I picked up this Walker Turner drill press. This is a 900 series drill press. It is the 15-inch model. So you've got 7.5 inches to the center. And as you can see, it's in some pretty dire need of some TLC. They did protect the table with a few pieces of wood, but there are some problems with it. It looks like they've just kind of retrofitted a couple pieces on and some things are not working correctly. So I'll take you around and show you what we have. I do want to do a full restoration on this, including a new paint job, cleaning everything up and making it look and work perfectly. But before we get into that, it has to work. There's no point in restoring it unless I can get this thing to work properly. So that's what I want to try and sort out in this video. You might be surprised, this thing weighs actually a little over 100 pounds. And I had to use the tractor to lift it up onto this table because I didn't want to hurt myself. It is no lightweight. This is all cast iron up here and it's all one piece as well. It's pretty cool how they did that. And I think they did a really good job. If you look at the parting line, it's almost non-existent. I don't know whether they ground that, but everything lines up really well. This drill press has some really nice details. It's nothing fancy, but everything is super heavy duty. And I think this thing, when it's restored, will last me a lifetime. So let's get into it. So it vibrates really bad, actually so bad that this thing could vibrate right off of the table. That's why I have the clamp on there so that it doesn't move around too much. So my suspicion is that there's something wrong with the pulley at the back. So let's have a closer look at that. The one at the front seems to be running really nicely and pretty smooth. So I think there's something wrong with the one at the back, especially because it's really high. So let's have a closer look. So there is something wrong here. This is dented. So that could be what's causing some of the trouble. But I also noticed this pulley is just way too high. And when I look in the top, it's hard to see, but there is no key in there. And it's actually offset from the key slot as well. So this is rotated, it's ridden up, and it's lost the key. So maybe there's a set screw in here that's the only thing holding this thing on. Let's have a look. And one thing I should note as well, this is a 3-step pulley, but if you look at the front, that's a 4-step. 4-step is going to be what should have been on here. So they've replaced this one at some point. And I think I'll just continue to use this one if I can. If I can't, I'll buy a new one and replace it with a proper 4-step pulley. But for now, just to get it going, I see if I can repair this and get rid of that ding or dent. Well, unfortunately, while I was testing a new mic, I lost a little bit of sound. So I'm just going to walk you through the plan here. I'm removing some of that thick buildup of sawdust before I mount this in the lathe. I have the 3-jaw chuck that I restored a little while ago mounted in the 4-jaw chuck for the job. And this seems to be running pretty true. Now, one problem I had with this is that there is very little clearance to get in there. So I've had to change the angle of the tool post to get the cutter angle to match the pulley. And you notice that I have no support on the tailstock end, which is just not a good idea in this case. You can see that because I'm pushing away from the chuck, there's already some wobble starting, and I barely even started to cut. And you can see some gaps opening up against the chuck in this shot as well. So this is not going to work. I'm going to pull that tailstock in, and I have the live center mounted in there to provide that support. And with that in place, we'll get the pulley running true again. You can see this really isn't a lot of work to get the pulley usable again, but at this point I'm not sure if this is going to help that much. I have the lathe, I may as well try to see if this is going to get rid of that deformed area. And I'm just taking a few light passes. I'm really not sure at this point what material this is. It's some sort of cast material, maybe aluminum or an alloy of aluminum. And so here you can get a better idea of the clearance issues I'm having. I'm feeding in with the compound, which I've matched to the angle of the pulley, and that seems to work just fine. So I think this was a good solution to get us by. There's just a small, this is the area that had the deformation, just the smallest little bump that I can feel. Since the shaft's already exposed, I thought it would be a good idea to test to see if everything is running true on the shaft. So everything looks good with the shaft. We'll go ahead and look at the pulley. All right, so the first time I put this on, I made a little bit of a mistake. I didn't put it down far enough because this bottom one should match up with that bottom one. Still a little bit of wobble into it. The belt is mounted back on. Let's just get a sense of what the vibration is now. All right, so just to give you a little update, it took me a bit of time. What I did was I put a new belt on. This belt is too big. This is a 5/8 belt, and these should take a 1/2 inch belt. So I do have a new belt for this. The original belt, believe it or not, was way too short. I think that's the reason. This was up, it was on the small pulley here, and it was on the second one up from here, because they had no adjustment left or very little adjustment left in here. When I tried to bring this all the way down, the other belt just did not work at all. So brought this down in height, got the proper length of belt on here. Unfortunately, it's still not the best. There's a lot less vibration. Let me show you. So I went ahead and I bought another 4-step pulley, and I bought the proper 1/2 inch belt, but I'll show you what we have right now. All right, so here's the new 4-step pulley, and by no means is this the right size, but this is what I was able to find on the budget. And the original set screw size does work, so that's good. careful not to go too far. Now this was bottomed out before. I assume this was in here almost all the way, so I should have a little bit more space. Yeah, it's still engaging. That's good. Okay, moment of truth. Let's try it out. And again, we have to replace the belt with the other side's belt. But this will give us a good idea whether we're going to be okay or not. Not too bad. That's pretty acceptable, actually. So that's slow speed. Let's see if we can up the speed. Okay, up the speed one more time. This is getting into a speed zone that I don't think I would ever use, but try it. With the vibration dealt with, I'd like to go ahead and clean this thing up a little bit more, but I'm actually really curious what is underneath that wood piece there. Did they cover anything up like they did on my other drill press, which is just absolutely terrible, or is it in pretty good shape? I think there's at least one hole all the way through, but let's see if there's anything worse than that. Okay, here we go. Is it going to be one or is it going to be more? I have a feeling it's going to be more, but let's find out. Oh, yeah, that's rough. That is not good at all. That's disappointing. That's going to be some repair work for me. So there's certainly some work to be done on this drill press. Everything's working, it is functional, but it is in pretty rough shape, unfortunately. Did not see that when I bought it. It's all covered up. This is what it looked like when I purchased it. I checked the spindle play and I looked below the table and saw only one hole going through. So naturally I thought, well, it shouldn't be too bad. Make sure to check out the next video where I get past my regret of buying this. I'm not giving up on this drill press. I am determined to bring it back to its former glory. And with that, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers and patrons. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.